What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, August 21st, 2025, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 13:44 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Russia. So if you're not aware of what happened yesterday, I wanted to just quickly summarize everything. So yesterday we had a very large number of high priority nuclear codes transmitted by U.S. nuclear forces. And in addition to that, we had a massive Russian attack on Ukraine, which involved Russia striking a U.S. company in western Ukraine in the Ukrainian Carpathians. Okay, so the Russians destroyed some kind of factory owned by an American company, and Trump is now livid because of that. And in addition to that, there was a Russian explosive kamikaze drone that flew into Poland 65 miles and blew up just a few miles away from a Polish flight training base and just 25 miles away from the headquarters of the Polish defense contractor PGZ. Okay, so the Russians attacking an American company in Ukraine last night, sending a drone into Poland just a few miles away from a base where Poland schools their military pilots, potentially Ukrainian pilots as well. This is the 41st training base in Poland, in eastern Poland, and then just 30 miles from the Polish defense contractor headquarters. And in addition to that, Russia launched a large number of drones at Ukraine. Pretty much every region of Ukraine was lit up under an air raid alert. And also, Russia sent a reconnaissance plane to Alaska yesterday as well. Okay, so Russia basically giving Trump the middle finger, okay, sending recon planes to Alaska, sending an explosive drone into Poland 60 miles, blowing up an American owned factory in Ukraine, and attacking Ukraine with a large number of missiles and drones, okay? And this is all happening while the Europeans and Trump were discussing security guarantees, okay? And I wanted to update you on that as well, because it doesn't look like the Russians agreed to anything related to security guarantees or any kind of a peace deal. And I want to just update you with the latest I have on that. But before I get into all that, I want to just show you some interesting flights that we have over the U.S. right now. We currently have two U.S. presidential doomsday planes up in the air, one flying over Iowa and one over Texas. This is pretty unusual to have two doomsday planes up in the air at the same time. And also we have this U.S. reconnaissance plane that flew all the way up to Russia's Kola Peninsula and was investigating the Russian northern fleet over here, which is where Russia has most of their nuclear-armed submarines. And also at the same time, there was a Russian plane up in the area as well. Okay, so very, very interesting. It looks like there's not going to be any peace, guys. There's not going to be any peace. The war is going to continue on, and Trump appears to be really mad about what happened yesterday. And I'm going to show you what he posted on his Truth Social. It seems like he's going to now open the floodgates for Ukraine and allow Ukraine to strike Russia in any way that they like and provide weapons. And the Polish defense minister confirmed that the drone that crashed and blew up in Poland yesterday was a Russian drone. It was an Iranian Shahed drone that was modified by the Russians. And he said Once again, we are dealing with a provocation by the Russian Federation with a Russian drone. We are dealing with it in a crucial moment when discussions about peace are underway, he told journalists. So this was the Polish Defense Minister, Kosiniak-Kamysz. Okay, he's also the Deputy Prime Minister, so he's a very powerful person. But I want to just play this security camera footage from a house in the town where the Russian drone crashed or blew up in Poland, just a few miles away from the 41st training base in Poland where they train military pilots, okay, and potentially Ukrainian pilots as well. So clearly Russia was trying to scare Poland and send the signal to them, listen, we can take out your flight training school and we could take out your defense contractor with just a couple of drones if you continue to support Ukraine, okay? But here's the footage from the security camera. You can see a very powerful kaboom. There's the flash of light, and then you'll hear the boom. And one resident of the town told Polsat News, I live a kilometer beyond a small forest. The explosion was heard throughout the entire village. Even friends 5 kilometers away heard it. The explosion was powerful, monstrous, loud. People's windows were blown out, and then there was the stench of sulfur and burning. Witnesses to the crash claim the explosion occurred right before midnight. They were also surprised by the response of the authorities. We thought the fire department, police would be there soon, but nothing, complete silence. We only learned anything at 4 a.m. Okay, so Poland was not able to track this thing. They didn't even know it exploded for several hours, okay? And overnight last night, during Russia's drone and missile attack against Ukraine, several missiles struck an electronics factory owned by an American company called Flex, based in Austin, Texas. The strikes within Mukachevo in the Carpathian Mountains of western Ukraine occurred less than 20 miles from the border with Hungary and Slovakia and resulted in injuries to at least 15 of the 600 workers at Flex. Okay, so literally Russia striking an American-owned factory. There could have been Americans working there during this attack. Clearly a sign from Putin that he is not interested in any of Trump's peace proposals and basically giving Trump a middle finger, okay? And here we have an official press release from NORAD yesterday stating that NORAD detected and tracked a Russian aircraft operating in the Alaskan Air Defense Identification Zone. The North American Aerospace Defense Command detected and tracked one IL-20 Kut operating in the Alaskan Air Defense Identification Zone on August 20. The Russian military aircraft remained in international airspace and did not enter American or Canadian sovereign airspace. This Russian activity in the Alaskan ADIZ occurs regularly and is not seen as a threat. NORAD launched 2 F-16s and 1 KC-135 tanker to positively identify and monitor the aircraft in the Alaskan ADIZ, okay? So this is very, very serious. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video. And the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that he thinks the chances of a meeting between Zelensky and Putin before the end of August are exactly 0. After that, extremely slim to none. A Putin-Zelensky summit is a fantasy of Trump's. He appears to have misunderstood Putin or been misled by him. Wow. Okay, so the Russian Foreign Minister mocking Trump, saying that a Putin-Zelensky summit is a fantasy of Trump's. Wow. And also, Sergei Lavrov denied claims that any agreements or progress on security guarantees had been made between U.S. President Trump and Russian President Putin during last week's meeting in Alaska, adding that Russia expects both Russia and China to have veto powers over any security guarantees provided to Ukraine by Europe and the U.S. Okay, so Lavrov saying there were no agreements made, especially on security guarantees, and this could be why Putin is furious that the Europeans are now talking about sending troops into Ukraine, and the U.S. is considering deploying Air Force into Ukraine. Okay, so apparently none of this was discussed with Putin. So Putin is probably really mad, and that's why he's lashing out and attacked the American company, attacked Poland, and attacked Ukraine all in one night. And Russian President Vladimir Putin has reportedly doubled down on his previous demands for an end to the ongoing invasion of Ukraine, demanding that Ukraine give up all of the Donbass in eastern Ukraine, renounce ambitions to join NATO, commit to neutrality, and keep Western troops out of the country. 3 sources familiar with top-level Kremlin thinking told Reuters. In exchange, Russia has agreed to freeze the front line in both the Kherson and Zaporizhia oblasts of southeastern Ukraine. Okay, so Putin is doubling down. He does not want to give up any territory, and that's where the problem's going to be, okay? And last night, Ukraine struck the Russian Black Sea Fleet base in Sevastopol using long-range drones, and for the first time ever, their new Flamingo cruise missiles, which have a range of 3,000 kilometers and carry a 2,500-pound warhead, which is just absolutely insane. So they were doing some testing of this new missile that they have, a cruise missile. And the FBI put out a warning stating that Russia's FSB hacking group Berserk Bear hit U.S. critical infrastructure, global networks, and exploited old Cisco flaws. Hackers took config files from thousands of devices, planted backdoors, and probed industrial control systems. Okay, so a Russian government hacking group hacked our critical infrastructure, took thousands of config files, okay, from various devices, planted backdoors, and probed industrial control systems. These are systems that control our infrastructure, dams, power plants, okay. So, not a good sign, okay? Clearly a sign that Russia is not interested in peace, and we're not going to see any miracles here with Russia. The war is going to continue. The escalation is going to continue. And here you can see a picture of that electronics factory in the Carpathian Mountains of Ukraine that was hit by Russian missiles, okay? This was owned by an American company based in Texas. Here's a picture of all the air raid alerts last night on Ukraine. You can see pretty much the whole country lit up under air raid alerts. And then this morning, Trump posted this to Truth Social. He wrote, "It is very hard, if not impossible, to win a war without attacking an invader's country. It's like a great team in sports that has a fantastic defense but is not allowed to play offense. There is no chance of winning. It is like that with Ukraine and Russia. Crooked and grossly incompetent Joe Biden would not let Ukraine fight back and only defend. How did that work out? Regardless, this is a war that would have never happened if I were president. Zero chance. Interesting times ahead. Okay, so Trump clearly stating that Ukraine was not able to attack Russia anymore, and maybe this is foreshadowing that Trump is going to now allow Ukraine to strike deep into Russia with American weapons potentially. So a huge shift in the position of Trump. And we're hearing that the West plans to prepare a final framework draft of security guarantees for Ukraine by the end of next week. Russia is building a massive circularly disposed antenna array near Cherniakovsk, Kaliningrad, just 25 kilometers away from Poland, modeled on Cold War Woolenweber arrays. It aims for long-range signal detection, tracking military comms, radar, and submarine transmissions. Okay, so they're building this gigantic antenna array in Kaliningrad, right next to Poland and Lithuania. And Iran started major military exercises involving naval and coastal missile launches. The state TV report said the frigate Iris Sabalin and a smaller vessel launched Nasir and Kadir cruise missiles at targets in the sea, striking them. And apparently they also launched some long-range missiles as well, some kind of radar stealth missile that can evade radar. So they launched a variety of missiles in the Gulf of Oman and right off the coast of Iran. Okay, so this is very, very concerning. And China is rapidly expanding its nuclear forces with about 600 warheads now and 350 new missile silos under construction. Wow, 350 new silos. The U.S. projects Beijing could have over 1,000 deployed warheads by 2030. Despite its official no first use pledge, the Pentagon warns China might consider nuclear first use if a conventional Taiwan conflict threatened regime's survival. The buildup includes land, air, and sea-based launch systems with 462 missiles capable of striking the U.S. mainland. Okay, 1,000 plus warheads by 2030. That's almost as much as we have deployed. We officially have 1,500 deployed, and then we have like 3,000 or 4,000 in reserve. Okay, so China is catching up to us, and they're also catching up to Russia. So the problem is, if there were a nuclear war, Russia and China would just team up together and they would outnumber all our warheads. Okay, so this is very, very concerning. And the chief of Russia's nuclear agency, Rosatom, said Russia's nuclear deterrent must be modernized amid major security threats. And North Korea has built a secret military base near its border with China, which may house Pyongyang's newest long-range ballistic missiles, new research says. The undeclared Sinpung-dong missile operating base lies about 17 miles from the Chinese frontier. The Washington-based Center for Strategic and International Studies said in a report published yesterday, the facility in North Pyongyang province likely houses 6 to 9 nuclear-capable ICBMs and their launchers, the study said. It said the weapons pose a potential nuclear threat to East Asia and the continental United States. Wow. Okay, so a secret nuke base in North Korea right on the border of China. And India test-fired the nuclear-capable Agni-5 missile yesterday with a 5,000-kilometer range. The Agni-5 is an ICBM that can reach Mach 24, and it forms the core of India's nuclear deterrence. New variants are now being developed, okay? And there was a U.S. nuke sniffer off the coast of India yesterday monitoring this, okay? So it looks like India is probably upgrading that missile, and they're testing those upgrades. And European allies are urging Trump to deploy F-35 fighter jets to Romania's expanding NATO base as part of security guarantees for Ukraine. And yesterday, the G7 directors group expressed concerns over the reported use of chloropicrin in Ukraine by Russia, calling for an end to chemical attacks. And Ukrainian strikes on Russian oil refineries have triggered a gas shortage in Russia, the Financial Times reports. Wholesale prices for A95 gas have surged 55% since the start of 2025, with drone attacks knocking out at least 10% of refining capacity. The crisis forced Moscow to suspend gasoline exports in an attempt to keep supplies at home. However, the move failed to curb price hikes or ease the shortages. The sharpest disruptions are reported in Zabaikalsky Krai and occupied Crimea, where gasoline is being rationed through coupons. Wow. 55% surge in gas prices in Russia. And yesterday, U.S. Special Forces carried out a raid in the Idlib province of northwestern Syria, coordinated with both the Turkish and Syrian governments, which resulted in the elimination of 2 senior ISIS officials, one of whom is reported to be Abu Hafs al-Hashimi al-Qurashi, who was projected to become the next caliph of ISIS in Syria. No injuries were sustained by U.S. or partner forces during the raid, according to an official with U.S. Central Command. And U.S. Navy sailor Jinchao Wei was convicted of spying for China by providing sensitive details on U.S. warships and Marines in exchange for $12,000. Wow. And we have new footage showing the secretive Rat-55 radar testbed operating from Area 51's Hangar 18. Photographer Michał Rakita captured video of the elusive Boeing 737 from near Tikaboo Peak, the closest point to where civilians can view the test facility at Groom Lake, known worldwide as Area 51. The footage uploaded to Michał Rakita's YouTube channel and discussed in a live stream by Rakita shows the Boeing 737 departing Groom Lake in darkness for an early morning mission on Wednesday, August 13th, before returning some hours later in daylight. So this Rat-55 is a very advanced radar plane that is exclusively used to evaluate the radar signatures of stealthy aircraft. This includes new designs and prototypes, as well as testing existing platforms like the B-2 Spirit. Okay, so potentially they were testing the new B-21 Raider and also the F-47, which are going to be stealthy, both of those obviously. So very interesting. And airmen with the 113th Wing of the D.C. Air National Guard have been deployed to patrol metro stations in D.C. In addition to the area around Union Station and the National Mall in D.C., President Trump is expected to go on patrol with the military and law enforcement in Washington, D.C. tonight. Wow, so that's going to be pretty interesting. And this was last night. We had a U.S. government VIP leave the Colorado Springs Doomsday Bunker and head to D.C. There was also a nuclear war command and control plane airborne yesterday when we had all those high-priority Skymaster messages going out right off the coast of New Jersey, sending these codes to our nuclear-armed subs. And this was the most amount of Skymasters I've heard since Culinary Night, which was in April of 2024, right before Iran struck Israel, and when Israel was preparing to retaliate for the first time. We heard like 8 hours of non-stop Skymaster messages. Last night we heard a lot of them, the most since then. We also had some aerial refuelers at the same time in New England, which could indicate that the U.S. moved either bombers or fighter jets overseas. This is a typical refueling point for bombers going overseas on missions. And here we have a picture of the new Ukrainian long-range cruise missile. It has a range of 3,000 kilometers, which is just absolutely insane. Look at how massive this cruise missile is. and it can carry a warhead that weighs 2,500 pounds. Okay, that is just absolutely insane. And here's another picture. You can see the warhead there. Absolutely insane. Absolutely dwarfs the American Tomahawk missile, which you can see here. The Tomahawk missile can carry a 1,000-pound warhead and only has a range of 1,000 miles. And this thing has a range of almost 2,000 miles and a warhead of 2,500 pounds. And here's a satellite image of Hurricane Erin last night. You can see it had a massive wind field, one of the largest hurricanes in many years. Look at how massive this hurricane was, right off the coast of North Carolina, spreading hundreds of miles across the Atlantic. Okay, the tropical storm force winds extended 250 miles or more from the center. Okay. And Dmitry Medvedev posted on Twitter that Russia won't accept security guarantees that involve NATO troops as peacekeepers. So whether it's individual European countries or NATO as a whole, Russia will not accept that. They don't want any European countries to have their troops there. And then here we have a video of the Indian ballistic missile being tested yesterday.
नोटम जारी करला केते 4000 केते किलोमीटर उठे 4700 केते एटा इनिशियल स्टेज रे से केते फ्यूल नेकी जाउची.
But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on tonight with more breaking news. Tune into my 24/7 live stream for continuing updates. Check out my Patreon. It's just $5 a month, and you get access to all my updates with no advertisements, and you help support this channel and keep it full-time. Also, I upload abbreviated text updates on Patreon and on YouTube for silver members on YouTube. So if you don't have time to watch an entire video, you can check the text update, and I have a quick summary of all the latest things going on. I also have a free app that you can download for Android and Apple. The links are in the description down below. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 P's: prepare, practice, and persevere. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a massive sale on their 3-month emergency food supply. You can get 3 months of emergency food, 2,000 calories a day, for just $500. That's $200 off their normal price with free shipping included. This food has a shelf life of 25 years, and it's a variety of different types of food. So if you use the link preparewithnYprepper.com, you can save $200 on their 3-month emergency food supply. The link is in the description below this video. That's preparewithnYprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video.